Episode of the Salon Scoop. Today is one of my favorite episodes. We are doing another Salon Horror Stories. With me, as always, Sarah Perrin. Are you ready for these, Sarah?
Yes, also my favorite episodes to do, so I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm glad we just get more and more sort of pouring in. So we're able to do, a lot of these episodes. Again, if you've got a crazy salon story, something that you want to share in a future episode, hit us up on our social media or by email. We'd love to hear about it and feature you in a future episode. But today we're going to jump in and get the scoop on some of these more random, crazy stories. We've got a good mix today. And we're going to start off with a little employee jealousy. Shall we get right into it?
Absolutely.
All right, let's hear how this one starts off.
My journey starts in 2010. I've always worked in downtown Vancouver. I didn't do hair for 4 years. I wanted to get back into hairdressing, and I contacted one of my downtown sales reps that I knew, and gave me a reference for a downtown Yaletown salon. I wanted to do something really special for my 45th birthday. So the minute I started working there, I started saving money so that I could buy myself a really, really nice birthday present. And so I ended up getting myself a $5,000 Louis Vuitton men's briefcase bag. And for anybody that knows, it's a luxury brand, and they have beautiful, beautiful bags, that are extremely well made. So of course, I got one and brought it to work. And in the back room of this particular salon, we actually have cubby holes, which actually have doors that close. So I brought it to work, and I still remember the day. It was a Thursday that this happened. So I brought it to work, and I did my shift at work and finished my shift. Here's the shocker. Somebody at work took my bag. They would have had to open the cubby hole, took my bag, and slashed it with a razor, a hair cutting razor. I'm not kidding. Yeah. I was beyond shocked, because that's next level.
Ouch! Slashing the bag. That is rough.
That's personal.
That is seriously personal. That's like,
I'd be mad if somebody did that to my $30 winner's purse, let alone a $5,000 Louis Vuitton.
Yeah, I mean, I've had my car, key before, like scratching my car, and it kind of feels a little bit of that. It's like, but usually that's random, in a parking lot or something. But this is obviously really personal. Like, oh man.
I listen to too much true crime too. This is the first step in something nefarious.
Yeah, I would be so freaking livid.
Absolutely.
Anyway, let's find out, sort of how this happened and who it was.
So anyway, I had addressed it with the owner, but the owner, I guess, didn't want any drama, and I requested to look at the security videotapes, and subsequently she would not allow me to see them, and so clearly she knows who did it, but I was not privy to that information. So anywho, long story short, I gave notice, and I left the salon 1 week later. Yeah, because you can't work in an environment like that where you can't trust your coworkers.
Wow, like why would the salon owner not hand over the food? That seems a little bit weird. I mean, I get like salon owner doesn't want drama, but there's already drama happening in the in the kitchen here.
Yeah.
Sarah, you're a salon owner. I mean, what do you make of that?
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, it's like, for the most part, like we work with a lot of young females, and sometimes there is, some drama, not to generalize or put anybody into a category, but I mean, there is, some drama that happens and everything. And I can understand, because I probably get approached on the daily, like, oh, this person said this about me, and this person didn't clean up after themselves and things like that. And in that situation, I'm like, deal with it yourself. You're all big girls, so you can deal with this yourself, right? But with something like this, like I say, I listen to a lot of true crime. This is a precursor for something bad happening. And I'm like, that's taking it to the next level. And I personally disagree with not, getting involved in that, because yeah, it's not just as simple as a little bit of, harmless air quotes gossip, right?
Yeah, like is the salon owner protecting the person who kind of did this crime?
I mean, it kind of sounds like that. And I mean, and if you listen to it, like he was a relatively new stylist there. Who knows? Maybe it was one of their longest term stylists or something like that that did it. And this owner was scared of losing them, or who knows what the actual intent behind that is. But at the end of the day, it was vandalism. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, that's, and like $5,000, like, I'm like, that's big enough to go, almost past small claims court kind of thing. So it's not like it's like a minor incident that you can just brush under the rug.
Well, exactly, and I wouldn't just let it go and and kind of like leave the salon. Now, there is we're going to find out how this kind of wraps up, because there's things that can be done in a situation like this. So let's listen up to the ending of this story.
Never, no. No, I mean, of course, I have my suspicions, but when you work in a salon with 20 stylists, right? I mean, I thought I got along with everybody, and I thought I was well liked by everybody, but clearly, there was obviously a person that was very jealous because of how deep the cut was. No, I mean, they can't really repair it. It's not something that is repairable. They do offer repair services, but something like that would be considered severe damage, right? But actually, looking into the legalities behind workplace harassment in Canada, had I filed a police report and reported it, it would be on the onus of the owner to replace. Looking back in hindsight, I think what I should have done, and again, I've spoken to lawyers about this as well, I should have filed a police report immediately, because the police actually have the power to request the security videotapes.
Wow, I cannot believe that he's never found out who actually did it after all this time. Sarah, this sounds like a real potential episode of a true crime podcast, where we go back and try to like uncover all of the things. Maybe that video footage still exists.
I would listen to that. I'd subscribe.
I mean, that would be just burning in the back of my head all this time. Like, who was it? I wonder if the person is listening to this podcast today. That was me, and then nobody knows.
Just in the background, like.
Exactly. Anyways, I guess key learnings. I mean, our guest here, storyteller, said probably should have gone and reported it to the police right away. And I think in my standpoint, that's kind of where my thinking goes right off the bat. It's like, hey, this is a $5,000 property damage. This is pretty serious. I understand that fear of losing your job and sort of calling somebody out and whatnot, but in my mind, doing the right thing is always the right thing, and it's going to lead to better resolution of the problem. But I don't know, what's your take, Sarah? Key learnings here.
I'm in the same boat as you. I mean, obviously every situation is going to be different, but like this, like you said, this is a $5,000 thing. This is a car for some people. This is, like I would take it as seriously as if my, tires got slashed or something like that. Like, I think in this type of situation, it's just like important to remember that even like salon owners, like they're not the law, you know what I mean? So it's like, if there's a situation like this, just leave it to the professionals, go straight to the police and let them deal with it instead of trying to deal with it internally. And like I say, obviously this is a pretty extreme circumstance. Like I said, if somebody slashed my $30 winner's purse, I'm probably not taking it to the police or whatever. But in this situation, that's my main takeaway. Just leave it to the professionals and let them do their thing.
Just buy knockoffs, and what, that's
exactly, that's the solution. Don't drop 5 G's on a Louis Vuitton purse. That's what it is.
Go. All right, so that's story number one: employee drama, harassment. We are going to keep the theme of sort of workplace conflict in our next one, but this one is employee owner, and some interesting. I think jealousy still works in, but clearly some backstabbing. Let's listen into story number two.
When I bought the salon, he only had one employee. So I kind of worked with her for about a month to decide if I was going to keep her or not. We got along. Everything was great. So I kept her. We worked together for quite a while, and everything was fine. I actually had no idea anything was going wrong. Even when the time she left, after almost 4 years, I still had no idea anything was wrong. So I'll just go into the time that we were working together. I hired about 20 people in this 4-year period. When they first started, everything was going great, and you can just see a shift in these people. And all of a sudden, they had attitudes, and nothing was going right anymore, and they ultimately would quit. And you can see clients, they would come in and attitudes would be bad, and clients would never stay, and product would be missing, and I can just go on and on. And so for the first 3-4 years, I was struggling hard, and I just could not figure out why. Like, we weren't retaining stylists, we weren't retaining clients, product. I couldn't figure out. Money was coming up missing. Product was coming up missing. So the stylist I had her stylist of the month, employee of the month. I let her use my car when she needed cars, anything that she wanted, I would get for her. She totally was beautiful to my face. You know, I thought we would be best friends. So I had no idea all this was going on behind my back. So all of a sudden, one holiday weekend that I was gone, I got a text message note that her and the one other girl that was at my salon had both left and gone to another salon where they were going to be their own boss. So I was left with one other stylist, myself. So they left me on a weekend holiday, no notice, no anything, and I was left with one stylist. So actually the trash took itself out, because it was after that I had 2 new stylists come. Right, I thought I was doomed. I'm like, how am I ever going to make this? We're struggling so bad. You know, we're done for. I don't know how we're going to get through this. A week later, I had 2 new stylists come, and all I'm going to say is everything turned around so beautifully that we are now like, we're in the top 7 in Dayton right now, and hopefully we're top 2 in Huber Heights. So that tells you how far we've come in just 3 years. But the one girl that actually stayed with me, it actually told me within the last year what she was doing, and she was sabotaging me, and she was telling all the stylists how horrible I was, how racist I was, all these terrible, how stuck in the 80s I was, you know, all these horrible, hilarious things. How can somebody be so one way to your face? And I had no clue. I mean, she was so nice to my face, and I'd do anything for her. And I had absolutely, I think I'm a smart person, and I think I'm a good judge of character, honestly. I had no clue, no clue that she was absolutely trying to destroy me in the salon behind my back. None.
Wow, this is crazy. Like, what I don't really understand, I totally get that employees are going to be nice to your face, but maybe they're, you know, mean, backstabbing you, you know, behind the scenes, and that could go on for a while. But the clients, right? If the clients are being told all this sort of negative, nasty stuff, they're not going to, you know, keep a smile to your face, but then like think poorly of you behind, you know, behind your back.
Yeah.
Really curious to know how that plays out, right? Like,
yeah, no, I agree. That's the thing. It's like they have no, they don't owe you anything, the clients, you know what I mean? So if you're starting to see some weird reactions from them, I'd be like, what's going on here?
yeah, I want to hear more about this.
I do believe that those clients probably are gone and probably won't come back. But I did notice a lot of clients that were in her chair, they would look at me like they hated me. You could tell when I walked by, the looks that I would get from people in her chair were horrible. And I'm the nicest person in the world. I'd do anything for anybody. And I'm like, good Lord, what did I do? You know, but I could tell that they just despised me. So I'm sure they were hers, and they would never come back here.
Okay, so I mean, I'm happy to hear that the salon actually got back on track and has, you know, been doing well. That sort of dispels some of maybe the thoughts that maybe the salon owner really was a problem and not managing the salon well and whatnot, which I'm sure many of our listeners might have been thinking along the way here. But ultimately, like, who does this as an employee? Like, how could you, why would you go on for so long, backstabbing, talking behind, talking bad to staff, to clients? Like, where's the value in that? Like, if you're not happy, just get out, right?
That's my thought process too. I always wonder, like in situations like that, it's like, you're quite clearly miserable. Why don't you move somewhere else where you will not be miserable, right? So yeah, I don't understand the motives behind that either.
Yeah, let's find out. We're actually gonna find out what was happening behind the scenes here.
Come to find out that she had worked for the previous owner for about 5 years, and she really wanted to buy the salon from him, but she couldn't get the loans. She couldn't get the money together, so she couldn't buy it. And she hated the fact that I was able to. So she was bound and determined to do everything she could to sabotage me. And she actually said these words when she walked out the door to the girl that stayed, that once she left, that I was not going to make it, because she was the one keeping the business afloat. So it's the greatest revenge now, because we are in the top running for the best of Dayton, and we're the only salon in Huber Heights that made that list. So proud of us.
Well, that's a weird one. I mean, quite a roller coaster ride, obviously, to have to go through that. I mean, I don't know, as a salon owner, like how you would not see it for so long necessarily if all this stuff is going on, or not deal with it sooner. I don't know. Like, Sarah, again, salon owner, like, how would you have dealt with a situation like this if there's sort of undermining going on behind your back? Maybe you don't know about it at first, but this employee actually left. The salon owner never actually, fired the person. I don't know.
Yeah, and I've got a ton of friends who are salon owners, and my sister and I have been in business for 10 years now too. So like, we've absolutely had those, problem employees, and it's unfortunate because one bad apple really can kind of poison the rest of the team or whatever. So this kind of goes back to, a big summit learning, like, you promote what you permit, right? If you're allowing this to happen, you're allowing it to happen. You know what I mean? You're essentially being like, yep, this behavior is completely acceptable. So, and again, this comes from a lot of hindsight in my own, like, we've absolutely held on to, kind of toxic employees for a little bit too long, because maybe they're a big earner, or, whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, then you're also setting up all of your other employees to treat you like that as well. And it just kind of turns into this, vicious circle of bad behavior because nobody's being held accountable. So again, easier said than done. I completely understand, especially when you've got, a long-term employee and everything like that. You want to keep them around and you want to keep them happy. But at the end of the day, you teach people how to treat you. And if they're treating you like shit and you keep allowing it to happen, it's hard to be like, why am I being treated like shit now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Anyways, happy the story ended out working out for everybody. That's I guess ultimately we want. Okay, we are ready for our last salon horror story of this episode. This one gets a little bit wild. I would say, instead of girls gone wild, it's kids gone wild. I'm sure some of you might relate to some crazy kid moments in your salon. We've got a pretty interesting one coming right up. Let's listen to how this gets started.
We had a client call, kind of asking if we could handle detangling, and we said yes. It would really all depend price wise, how bad it was. Told him to just come in so that way we could take a look at it. We were definitely not expecting what we saw when they got into the salon. The little girl came in and her hair was so severely matted to a point where the ponytail she had it in really was kind of hidden and you couldn't move it from the scalp. So it was very, very chaotic and not at all what we were expecting, but we really wanted to try and help this girl as much as we could. So I brought her over to my chair, told her to have a seat, and I noticed they had brought her little sister along with them. They're both very cute. The little sister, however, was definitely all over the place. At one point, as I was trying to really get through that mat and see what I could do to help this poor girl, I noticed the younger sister grab my shears and start taking off with them and try to cut her hair with them. So I had to stop in between to grab them because it was really, I didn't want her to hurt herself. And I was surprised the father wasn't really doing anything about it. So I took the shears and said, no, we can't, these aren't toys, these are really expensive, and you could seriously get hurt. And the father's like, oh, it's okay, she plays with scissors all the time.
There are just so many things wrong with this situation right now. Like little girl running around the salon with scissors, going crazy, and parent just sitting around like no big deal. I mean,
yeah, it's hilarious. I'm sure every salon owner and every hairstylist listening to this is like, oh, I've experienced something very similar, and it is beyond frustrating.
Yeah, like what's more frustrating, like watching this kid like go crazy with your equipment, or the parent sitting there and doing nothing about it?
Oh God, and I swear the two go hand in hand. And again, it's hard to even fault the kid, right? Because they're 5, they're excited. Again, there's scissors, there's all of these things. And yeah, no, but it is absolutely irritating. I have had that happen before, where you're trying to concentrate on, the service with the parent or whatever it might be. And I've had, the kids running around throwing products off the shelf, like doing all of these things. And you're like, oh, that's so cute. But that was actually $60 that were not out because the bottle is broken. Like, I just don't think that there's maybe like the realization that there is a lot of value to the things that they're just playing with. So yeah, I've been shaking my head this whole time.
Yeah, this is totally not cool. All right, let's listen on as this continues and spirals further out of control.
As I was trying to explain to the father, this is really bad. This isn't just a week's worth of not like nodding, as he told me prior. This has definitely been going on for a very long time, and just accumulated to a point where it was either we were shaving it, or she would have to spend days of us trying to brush it out, and it would just be extremely painful on her. And he really wasn't registering at all, and was kind of like, well, you can brush it, it's all right, not understanding at all that there really wasn't much we could do in this scenario. And it's just during all this chaos, you got the little sister running around trying to take all of my employees' combs and brushes. At one point, she took our brush and tried to brush a client's hair as they were sitting in the chair. And I say brush as a polite way of saying whapping in the back of the head.
Oh, this is hilarious. I could just picture this little girl running around stealing a brush, trying to brush people's hair, clients' hair, sitting in the chair.
Louise.
Yeah, this whole like playing salon, which you might do when you're home. Probably was her like biggest dream. Like, I'm in the salon, I can do this. But oh my.
Oh yeah, she's living her best life, and everybody around her is like, this is cute, right? That's the problem with those situations too, is you're like, this is not my child, I cannot scold them. But you're like, how much, like you're like, put the effing brush down and go sit down, right?
And like that's what the stylists are thinking. The actual client who's having this like little girl out of the blue come up, I'd be like, but again, you're not gonna like push them off or anything.
No.
So there's this crazy. Anyways, it can't possibly get any worse than this, right?
Right? Could it?
Let's see how this story unfolds.
So we kind of wrapped it up and told her, I'm sorry, unfortunately there isn't much we can do. We don't want to hurt her any further, but here are some places that maybe can help. They might have a little bit more tools that we don't have to help get this out a little bit better. And started to send them along their way. And as they were getting ready to leave, the little sister leans into my drawer where I typically will keep my tips throughout the day. Just makes it easier if I'm got a full book and I'm really running behind. And took my tips for the day and tried to run out the door with them. And I just, I couldn't really believe it, because I never had anything this crazy happen in the salon before, let alone a 5-year-old trying to jack like $60 from me for that day. Thankfully, at that point, my boss had come out to kind of see what was going on and intervened and took the tips and said, no, you can't take people's money. It's not okay. And she just kind of like shook her head and just walked out anyway. And we never saw them again. We didn't hear from them again. It was definitely one for the books that I can say I've never experienced in my professional career, and I don't want to experience again.
Wow. And she's a little thief on top of it all.
No kidding. Hey, that's just like the cherry on top. Hey, she's like,
Yeah.
please leave the salon now.
Yeah, just trying to swipe my money
Yeah.
as you go. But the craziest thing about this whole thing, I mean, it's hilarious. This, little kid, again, I'm sure, some salon professionals are reliving some bad experiences that they had with kids, but it seems like the parent just did nothing this whole time. Like
And
no discipline.
again,
I'm not a parent myself. I don't have kids, but I definitely would be having some disciplinary measures if, if there was.
well, and you can tell too, again, I feel like I've had like 56 different variations of this situation happen. And sometimes you can tell like the parent is trying and they're just, exhausted. Maybe they've got 3 kids running around. Maybe they're a single parent and you kind of, like your heart bleeds for them. You feel for them. And then there's other times where it's like, again, they just couldn't give 2 shits what their kid is doing, right? Those are the situations where you're like, I'm gonna snap, but it's again situation to situation. But yeah, when the parent is so blasé about like the clear harm their child is causing, just kind of adds like a layer, like a little insult to injury, right?
Yeah, and it kind of seems like the parent in this case was a little bit delusional, because also with the girl with the hair, the matted, like crazy matted hair, and not really thinking or realizing it was a problem. I mean, they probably hadn't brushed this girl's hair in a really long time for it to get to such a bad state, right? I mean, that's just a bit of overall kind of parental neglect going on, it seems.
I was gonna say, it sounds like this, and very sad, obviously, but I'm like, it sounds like there's maybe some additional issues with this situation kind of thing. But oh, that poor little girl. I have extensions now and I've never really experienced matting before until I had these, and I'll have a little bit of matting, and brushing that out hurts like hell. Like I cannot handle it. So I can't imagine like that much matting. It would be so painful.
Yeah, I can't say that I've had to experience anything. I'm happy. One more reason I'm happy to be a male, but
there you go.
Anyhow, hope everybody enjoyed this episode with another few fun salon horror stories, all the crazy, wacky things that go on in our industry. And again, please contact us to share your story. We want to feature you on future episodes. This is always a fun time. Hope you enjoy listening along with us.